SpongeBob Squarepants. SpongeBob is the main protagonist who first appeared in the pilot episode, Help Wanted. He's an eternally optimistic yellow sea sponge who works as a fry cook at the Krusty Krab and lives in a pineapple under the sea. Episodes from 2000 and 2001 have given SpongeBob's birth date as July 14th, 1986, making him 39 as of 2025, although his age is left unclear throughout the series. What makes SpongeBob special is his childlike wonder and unbreakable enthusiasm for life. He genuinely loves his job at the Krusty Krab more than anything else in the world. Making Krabby Patties isn't just work to him, it's his passion and art form. He knows the secret formula by heart and takes enormous pride in creating the perfect burger every single time. His dedication to his craft is so intense that he literally dreams about work and gets excited about overtime. SpongeBob's personality is defined by his incredible optimism and naivety. He sees the good in everyone, even people who consistently treat him badly. He's incredibly gullible and trusting, which leads to countless situations where others take advantage of his kindness. Despite being hurt repeatedly, he never becomes cynical or loses his faith in others. This childlike innocence is both his greatest strength and his biggest weakness. His daily routine revolves around his love for his job, his pet snail Gary, and his best friend Patrick. He has several hobbies that showcase his creativity and enthusiasm. He's an expert at karate thanks to Sandy's training. He plays the clarinet poorly, but with great enthusiasm. He loves jellyfishing in the fields around Bikini Bottom, and he's surprisingly good at driving boats in video games, despite failing his driving test countless times in real life. SpongeBob's relationships define much of who he is. He idolizes his boss, Mr. Krabs, and would do anything to make him proud, even when Krabs is clearly taking advantage of him. He genuinely loves his coworker Squidward and considers him one of his best friends, despite Squidward's constant rejection and annoyance. His friendship with Patrick brings out both his most innocent and most reckless sides. Together, they embark on adventures that usually end in chaos, but always come from a place of pure fun and curiosity. Patrick Star. Patrick is SpongeBob's best friend and next door neighbor, a pink starfish who literally lives under a rock. He represents the lazy best friend we all wish we could be sometimes. He's unemployed, sleeps most of the day, and his biggest concerns are usually what to eat next. Patrick's intelligence is one of the show's most interesting contradictions. Most of the time, he's portrayed as incredibly stupid. He doesn't understand basic concepts, makes nonsensical decisions, and often can't remember simple things. But occasionally, he displays moments of surprising wisdom or accidentally solves problems through his backwards logic. This inconsistency in his intelligence has become a running theme, suggesting that Patrick might be smarter than he appears, or that his stupidity is so profound it occasionally loops back around to genius. His lifestyle is the epitome of laziness and simplicity. He lives under a large rock with minimal furniture, basically just a sand bed, a chair, and a TV. He has no job and no apparent source of income, yet somehow manages to survive and even enjoy life. His daily activities consist of sleeping, eating, watching TV, and hanging out with SpongeBob. He's completely content with this simple existence and sees no reason to change or improve himself. What makes Patrick fascinating is his relationship with SpongeBob. He's fiercely loyal to his best friend, even when he doesn't understand what's happening. Patrick will follow SpongeBob into any situation, no matter how dangerous or ridiculous, simply because SpongeBob asked him to. Their friendship is built on mutual acceptance. SpongeBob never judges Patrick for being lazy or stupid, and Patrick never judges SpongeBob for being hyperactive or naive. However, Patrick can also be SpongeBob's worst influence. His lack of common sense and tendency towards selfish behavior sometimes leads SpongeBob into trouble. Patrick doesn't usually mean to cause harm, but his impulsive nature and inability to think through consequences often creates chaos. Despite this, their friendship endures because it's based on genuine affection and shared joy in simple pleasures. By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot here, so subscribe and drop a like for the algorithm. Squidward Tentacles. Squidward is the grumpy, pretentious octopus who lives between SpongeBob and Patrick and works as a cashier at the Krusty Krab. He represents the bitter adult who's given up on their dreams and finds themselves surrounded by annoying optimists. Squidward's character is built around his failed artistic ambitions and his resulting bitterness toward the world. He sees himself as a sophisticated, cultured individual who deserves better than his mundane life in Bikini Bottom. He's passionate about classical music, modern art, and highbrow culture, but the tragic reality is that he has virtually no talent in any of these areas. His clarinet playing is absolutely terrible. His paintings are amateur at best, and his dancing is awkward and uncoordinated, yet he remains completely convinced of his own artistic genius. His job at the Krusty Krab represents everything he hates about his life. He's stuck working as a cashier in a fast food restaurant when he believes he should be performing in orchestras or displaying his art in galleries. This creates a constant state of resentment and frustration that colors almost every interaction he has. He takes no pride in his work and does the bare minimum required to avoid getting fired. The greatest source of Squidward's misery is his living situation. He's literally trapped between SpongeBob and Patrick, two neighbors who represent everything he finds annoying about the world. Their childish enthusiasm, their loud behavior, their complete lack of sophistication. Every day he's forced to endure their antics both at home and at work, creating a never-ending cycle of frustration. What makes Squidward tragic rather than just unlikable is that there are glimpses of who he could be if he wasn't so consumed by bitterness. In rare moments when he's genuinely happy or when he lets his guard down, we see that he's capable of joy and friendship. Some episodes show that he actually does care about SpongeBob and Patrick, even if he'd never admit it. His relationship with SpongeBob is particularly complex. While he finds him annoying, there are times when SpongeBob's genuine kindness and loyalty break through Squidward's cynical exterior. Squidward also represents the fear many adults have of being trapped in mediocrity. He's aware enough to know that his life hasn't turned out the way he wanted, but he's not motivated enough to actually change it. Mr. Krabs. Eugene Krabs is the money-obsessed owner of the Krusty Krab restaurant. He's a red crab whose love of money borders on the pathological. He can literally smell money from miles away and has been known to risk life and limb for a penny. Mr. Krabs' obsession with money defines almost every aspect of his character and drives most of his decisions. He's incredibly cheap, refusing to spend money on anything he considers unnecessary, which often puts him at odds with his employees and customers. He pays SpongeBob and Squidward very low wages, uses the cheapest possible ingredients for food, and maintains his restaurant with minimal upkeep. Yet despite his penny-pinching nature, he's managed to build the most successful restaurant in Bikini Bottom. His business acumen is actually quite impressive when you look past his greed. He understands his market, knows how to create demand for his products, and has successfully kept his main competitor, Plankton, out of business for years. The Krabby Patty secret formula represents his greatest business achievement, a product so popular that people will line up for hours to buy it. He guards this formula with his life, knowing it's the foundation of his entire empire. Mr. Krabs' relationship with his employees is complicated. While he clearly exploits them financially, he also shows genuine care for their well-being, particularly SpongeBob. He treats SpongeBob almost like a son, praising his work ethic and dedication. He's proud of SpongeBob's skills as a fry cook and recognizes that much of his success comes from SpongeBob's talent and enthusiasm. With Squidward, his relationship is more straightforward. He keeps him employed despite Squidward's obvious lack of enthusiasm because Squidward is reliable and competent. His personal life revolves around his teenage daughter Pearl, and this relationship shows his more human side. Despite his cheapness, he genuinely wants to provide for Pearl and make her happy, even when her expensive teenage interests conflict with his frugal nature. He's a single father doing his best to raise a daughter whose needs he doesn't always understand, but his love for her is genuine and deep. Mr. Krabs' backstory as a naval veteran adds depth to his character. His military experience explains his leadership skills, his tough exterior, and his ability to handle stressful situations. It also provides context for his disciplined approach to business and his respect for hard work and dedication. Plankton. Sheldon J. Plankton is an intellectual planktonic cyclops copepod who is egotistical, aggressive, evil, and power-hungry. He is very jealous of Mr. Krabs and his success. Plankton is the show's primary antagonist, but he's more pathetic than threatening. Plankton's entire existence revolves around a single, all-consuming goal: stealing the Krabby Patty secret formula and destroying Mr. Krabs' business. This obsession has defined his life for decades, and despite hundreds of failed attempts, he continues to believe that his next scheme will be the one that finally succeeds. His plans range from simple burglary to elaborate technological solutions, but they all end in spectacular failure, usually due to his own incompetence or SpongeBob's accidental interference. What makes Plankton fascinating is the contrast between his intelligence and his effectiveness. He's genuinely brilliant. He's invented advanced AI, created complex machinery, and developed sophisticated plans that should theoretically work. He understands science, technology, and psychology well enough to create elaborate schemes. Yet he consistently fails because his ego blinds him to obvious flaws in his plans, and his hatred of Mr. Krabs clouds his judgment. His restaurant, the Chum Bucket, serves as a perfect symbol of his failures. Located directly across from the Krusty Krab, it should be able to compete for customers, but Plankton's food is genuinely terrible, and his customer service is worse. He seems incapable of understanding that success in the restaurant business requires more than just having the competitor's secret formula. You also need to actually care about your customers and provide quality food and service. Plankton's relationship with his computer wife Karen adds depth and humanity to his character. Karen is often smarter than Plankton and comes up with better plans, but he rarely listens to her advice because his ego won't let him admit that someone else might know better. Despite his treatment of her, Karen genuinely loves him and supports his dreams, even when she knows they're doomed to fail. Their marriage shows that Plankton is capable of love and genuine partnership, even if he's terrible at expressing it. His rivalry with Mr. Krabs goes back to their childhood friendship, adding emotional weight to their conflict. They weren't always enemies. They were once friends who shared a dream of running a successful restaurant together. The exact details of how their friendship ended vary between episodes, but the hurt and betrayal on both sides runs deep. Sandy cheeks. Sandy is a squirrel from Texas who lives underwater in a glass dome. She's a brilliant scientist, inventor, and athlete who moved to Bikini Bottom for research purposes. Sandy brings a land perspective to the underwater world, which creates natural comedy and culture clash situations. What makes Sandy special is that she's probably the most capable character in the entire show. She's a master of karate, an expert inventor, and has the common sense that most other characters lack. She's also fiercely proud of Texas and her heritage, never letting anyone insult her home state. Sandy represents the outsider perspective. She sees situations more clearly because she's not caught up in the usual Bikini Bottom craziness. Her friendship with SpongeBob works because she appreciates his enthusiasm while also being able to ground him when needed. She's also important as one of the few strong female characters in the main cast, showing girls that you can be tough, smart, and feminine all at the same time. Gary the Snail. Gary is SpongeBob's pet snail who meows like a cat. While he appears to be a simple pet, Gary is actually one of the smartest characters in the show. He only says meow, but somehow SpongeBob understands everything he's trying to communicate, suggesting a deep bond between them. Gary often serves as SpongeBob's conscience, trying to warn him when he's making poor decisions. He's incredibly loyal, but also independent, sometimes getting frustrated with SpongeBob's antics. The genius of Gary's character is that he communicates entirely through meowing, yet viewers always understand what he means through context and tone. Mrs. Puff. Mrs. Puff is SpongeBob's long-suffering boating school instructor. She's a puffer fish who literally inflates when she gets stressed or scared, which happens constantly when dealing with SpongeBob's terrible driving. What makes Mrs. Puff tragic and funny is that she's a good teacher trapped in an impossible situation. SpongeBob is genuinely the worst student driver in existence, causing massive distractions destruction every time he gets behind the wheel, but he's so enthusiastic and well-meaning that she can't bring herself to permanently fail him. Her character explores themes of professional dedication versus personal sanity. She represents every teacher who's had that one student who drives them crazy, but who they can't give up on. Mrs. Puff has even developed PTSD-like symptoms from SpongeBob's driving, making her one of the most psychologically complex characters in the show. Pearl Krabs. Pearl is Mr. Krabs' teenage daughter, a sperm whale. The fact that a crab has a whale daughter is never explained, but that's part of the show's charm. Pearl represents typical teenage concerns. She's obsessed with boys, shopping, and being popular, which often conflicts with her father's penny-pinching ways. She loves her dad, but is constantly embarrassed by his frugal behavior, especially when it affects her social life. Pearl's episodes often explore father-daughter relationships and the challenges of growing up. She genuinely cares about her father and tries to help him understand modern trends, even if he rarely listens. Her massive size compared to other characters creates natural physical comedy, but she's also surprisingly mature for her age. Karen. Karen Plankton is a waterproof supercomputer who lives in the Chum Bucket Laboratory. She is Plankton's wife and sidekick who supplies him with evil plans to steal the Krabby Patty formula. Karen represents the long-suffering wife who's smarter than her husband but stuck with him anyway. She's an AI with very human emotions and relationship problems. She genuinely loves Plankton but gets frustrated with his obsessions and failures. Karen often comes up with better plans than Plankton, but he rarely listens to her advice, leading to their scheme's failure. Their marriage dynamic is surprisingly realistic for a cartoon about a tiny villain and his computer wife. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. The retired superheroes Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, who are idolized by SpongeBob and Patrick, represent aging heroes trying to enjoy retirement while being constantly pulled back into action. Mermaid Man is the senile leader who often forgets where he is or what he's doing, while Barnacle Boy, later Barnacle Man, is the bitter sidekick who's tired of being treated like a child despite being elderly. Their dynamic explores the difficulty of letting go of past glory. For SpongeBob and Patrick, they represent childhood heroes who turn out to be very different from their TV personas. The boys' blind worship of these flawed heroes creates comedy. Their episodes often involve SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally causing chaos while trying to help their heroes. Flying Dutchman. A pirate specter known as the Flying Dutchman is Bikini Bottom's resident ghost. He's based on the legendary ghost ship and serves as the supernatural element in the show's otherwise grounded underwater world. The Flying Dutchman is both terrifying and pathetic. He wants to be scary, but often fails because the characters don't take him seriously. He represents traditional ghost story tropes turned into comedy. His episodes often explore themes of fear, death, and the afterlife in kid-friendly ways. He's not truly evil, just a working class ghost trying to do his job of haunting people, but he's constantly frustrated by characters who either aren't scared or who annoy him more than he scares them. Larry the Lobster. The muscular lifeguard of Goo Lagoon, Larry the Lobster represents the perfect beach athlete stereotype. Larry is obsessed with fitness, health, and looking good, making him the opposite of most other characters in the show. Larry serves as the cool, popular character that SpongeBob and Patrick admire but can never truly emulate. He's not mean-spirited, but he lives in a completely different world from the main characters, focused on physical perfection and extreme sports. His presence at Goo Lagoon makes him the unofficial leader of Bikini Bottom's beach culture, and his episodes often involve other characters trying to impress him or keep up with his extreme lifestyle. Bubble Bass. Bubble Bass is the pompous food critic who famously accused SpongeBob of forgetting the pickles. He represents the worst kind of customer, the one who thinks they know everything and enjoys making service workers miserable. His character works because everyone has encountered someone like Bubble Bass, the pretentious customer who acts superior while actually being wrong. His reveal that he was hiding the pickles under his tongue the whole time makes him both a villain and a pathetic fraud. He positions himself as having refined taste, but he's really just a bully who enjoys having power over others. Man Ray. Man Ray is one of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's classic villains. He's a parody of classic comic book supervillains, complete with dramatic speeches and elaborate evil schemes that usually backfire. What makes Man Ray interesting is his attempts at rehabilitation. In his most famous episode, SpongeBob and Patrick try to teach him to be good, but their methods are so annoying that being evil seems preferable. This creates a moral paradox about whether people can truly change. King Neptune. The merman god of the sea, King Neptune appears in multiple episodes as the powerful but often petty ruler of the ocean. His character varies between episodes. Sometimes he's wise and benevolent, other times he's childish and tyrannical. King Neptune portrays ultimate power corrupted by ego and insecurity. Despite being a god, he's often jealous of mortals' abilities and gets involved in petty disputes that are beneath his status. This creates comedy from the gap between his divine position and his very human flaws. The anchovies. The swarm of anchovies from the pilot episode Help Wanted show mob mentality and mass hysteria. They appear as a writhing mass of hungry customers who overwhelm the Krusty Krab, speaking in unison and moving as one entity. These characters depict every food service worker's nightmare, the unstoppable rush of demanding customers. They're not individuals, but a force of nature. The Anchovies episode establishes SpongeBob's competence under pressure and introduces the idea that he's actually incredibly skilled at his job when it matters. They serve as the perfect test for a new employee. The My Leg guy, Fred. Fred the Fish, famous for his "my leg" catchphrase, is the everyman character who suffers through all of Bikini Bottom's chaos. Fred appears in countless episodes as a background character who always seems to get injured during disasters. No matter what crazy scheme is happening, Fred will be there to get hurt and yell about his leg. He's become a meme precisely because he's the innocent bystander who always gets caught up in other people's problems. Doodle Bob. Doodle Bob is the drawing that comes to life in Franken-Doodle. Created when SpongeBob finds a magic pencil, Doodle Bob is an example of creativity gone wrong, the artistic creation that rebels against its creator. He's essentially SpongeBob without morals or restraint. He has all of SpongeBob's enthusiasm, but none of his kindness, making him the perfect dark mirror character. He can only speak in gibberish, but his intentions are crystal clear. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe to never miss a video.